Hey, y'all, welcome back to another episode of Late Night Vision Show, episode 197. It is live right now. I'm going to tell you, this show is so big. And first of all, before we bring in Jason Robertson, owner of Outdoor Legacy Gear, we are back to thermal optics review. After several weeks of being off of reviews and on SHOT Show and the Best Of series, we're back to it. This is our first review episode in a while, but this one's so big, and we got two optics that we're reviewing at the very same time, and we don't do that very often, do we, Jason?
We don't, and I'm going to tell you something. If you ever need one of those guys that's like the barker outside the circus tent that gets people to come in, Hans is your man, because every episode is big. It's so big, and so I like it. It's excitement.
It is.
I like it.
The thing about it is, and I need to keep up with my notes so I can tell people where to skip ahead to all this nonsense. But you remember the old ShamWow guy, that would do
the ShamWow guy.
That guy
seen
was
on
like
TV.
That guy was my idol, man. I was just like,
I'm not surprised.
I was just every time I'd see him come on
all.
TV, my eyes were just glued. I just couldn't not watch him. He was so entertaining. But yeah,
please tell me that you bought a ShamWow.
Oh, I had ShamWows coming out everywhere.
I figured you were you kept them in business.
Yeah, exactly. But we are today we are doing a full review. This is of something that people have been asking out for a long time. Hey, why haven't you reviewed the Cabin monoculars? Well, if you've asked that question tonight and today is your day, it is the iRay Cabin CBL19 and the iRay Cabin CBL25, both of the iRay, the newest monoculars from iRay, and actually their very first monoculars out in the market here in the United States. And this is from iRay USA and Infiray Outdoors. So I'm pumped about this. We've had these things for a while. We've been testing them for a while. You're going to see some video playing as we talk about it. But as always, we're going to run over the specs. We're going to talk about ID ranges. We're going to talk about our likes and dislikes, the pros and cons, and also who our overall thoughts on it, and we're not who it's good for, because it's not really a scope, so that format doesn't really do anything for you. But yeah, we're going to talk about our overall thoughts.
All right, so I've got a list of specs here, and
yeah, I'm going to be holding it up. Hold on.
All right, good.
I'll be holding it up while you're doing it.
Good. Well, I'm glad, because these specs are really, really small, and I don't wear glasses, so I may need some glasses. I think this is what the old guys call, playing the trombone. I'm trying to get it close and far. These
try
are
to
really
start
small,
with the 19, because that's the one I got handy right now. So.
Oh yeah. All right. So I'm going to go over them at the exact same time. Make this easy. So there is two units, as Hans mentioned. We've got a CBL19 and a CBL25. The 19 is a 19 millimeter lens. That's a f1.0 lens. The 25 is a 25 millimeter lens. Same thing, f1.0 fast lens. So the two units are just generally the exact same thing, other than the diameter of the lens size and the magnification. And the diameter of the lens size is directly related to the magnification. So we'll go over that. Basically all these specs I'm going to read, we'll go for both of them unless I say different. It is got a 384 by 288 12 micron thermal imaging sensor. So resolution is 384 by 288. It's got a 50 hertz refresh rate. It's running the Matrix 3 processor that everybody's kind of familiar with from the other Infiray and iRay units. It's got magnification. This is important. So the 19 is a 2-power base optical magnification, and the 25 is a 2.5 power. And they both have a 4 times digital zoom. So you can zoom up, so I guess that would be, I don't have the math. 2 goes to 8 power, and the 2.5, I have no idea what 4 times 2. What is that, 10 goes to 10 power? I hope that's right. Yeah, it is. 2.5 times 4. So 2 to 8, and 2.5 to 10 with the digital zoom. Field of view. So the field of view on the 19 at 100 yards, the horizontal left to right field of view is 72.5 foot, which is very wide. And the now this is something's going to throw some people off. The larger objective lens with the higher magnification has a 55-foot field of view at 100 yards. A lot of people think, larger objective lens, they come from daytime optics. So they immediately think, oh, it's got a bigger field of view. Right. Actually, no. You go up in magnification, you lose field of view. And so 72.5 and 55 foot. 55 is still considered a wide field of view. So you're good to go there. Detection range is a very, very long ways, a little over 1,000 yards on the 19 and around 1,400 is what they're saying on the 25. It's got an LCOS display screen, 1280 by 960 resolution on the screen. Now let's be clear, folks, that is the resolution of the display screen, not the thermal sensor. Sometimes people get confused there. And it's got several color palettes. We got white hot, black hot, red hot, like a color mode, and then a highlight mode. It has got picture-in-picture. It's a 20 millimeter eye relief. It's got video recording, no audio. You can control the unit with the Infiray Outdoor app on your phone or tablet, and you can record from there, and you can get audio if you're recording through the app. It uses a USB-C connector to charge the batteries and to connect it to your computer. And it's got a less than 10-second startup time. It's instant from standby. The weight, it's about 14.22 ounces. So 14 ounces for both units. It's got a removable, rechargeable battery. And if I can get Hans, a.k.a. Vanna White, I want to see if he can pull one of these things out. Let me just tell y'all.
I pre-pulled it.
The worst thing ever is trying to pull batteries and put them back in on camera. It's every time you're going to fumble it. So if he did that good, then kudos to him.
Yeah,
all right,
that was smart.
Pre-pulled it. All right, good. So that battery, they say 6+ hours. Well, folks, I'm going to tell you, we like to try to test these batteries and see what they really get. And I charged that thing up, started it this afternoon, got my stopwatch going on my phone, and I'll be dadgum. It's pretty late, and that thing was still running. So I finally it was flashing red, so the battery was obviously getting close, but I was at 6.5 hours. Now that's perfect conditions, sitting in my office, room temperature, just running. And again, there was still a little bit of battery. So again, 6.5+ hours. I mean, I don't know what it's probably going to be, probably 6 hours and 45 minutes in the field. That's obviously going to come down, turning it off, turning it on, recording, Wi-Fi, all those things will bring that battery life down. But that's very, very respectable battery life. I do like that. Yep. And the battery, that is a removable, replaceable, proprietary battery pack. Those are available for $99. So if you need a spare battery, it is something you can buy. I'll get here to the prices here in just a minute. Another big deal is that these are IPS 6-7 rated. That means that they are dust proof and they are fully waterproof, submersible to 3 foot for 30 minutes. And the operating temperature range, which only matters to our northern friends, because down here, I don't know, the high temperature range may matter to us. Exactly. But it's -4 up to 122. Yeah. Those are two temperatures that I don't plan to be out in, either one of them, -4 or 122. And they both have the 5-year warranty that iRay USA offers on these units. So 5-year bumper-to-bumper warranty. Now, pricing. That's the most important thing that I always forget. The CBL19 is $17.99, and the CBL25 is $20.99. So about $2,100 and $17.99 or $1,800. And Hans, that is about everything I've got on these units. I don't know what I left off, but let's talk about them.
Yeah, I want to show a couple things before we move on to ID ranges and all that. You mentioned the removable battery right here. It's kind of tucked away out of the way, but the fact that it is removable rechargeable, I think is an awesome feature. So looking at the monocular, it's got the nice fancy padded hand strap there, but you've got the eyepiece diopter focus. But here on the end, you're like, well, where's the objective lens focus? It's real. I mean, there's nothing there. It's actually under. It's like a little slide back and forth under the unit right here underneath the objective lens. It's different. I thought it was kind of cool. There might be some people out there that didn't really care for it, but I think it's kind of cool. And you got this little circle above the objective lens. You're like, well, what the heck is that? It's an LED flashlight. And when I first saw it, I was like, it's kind of goofy. But I will tell you, man, it's very, very handy. I mean, you always need a flashlight when you're out trying to get through a gate, walk in and try not to fall in a hole, walking by a tree, whatever. You always need a light, and it's.
I want to talk about this.
It's
light
super
real
handy.
quick.
Yeah, it's goofy. It looks goofy, but it's super handy.
It is. I mean, that first thing I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to tell people this thing's got a light on it. This is so. I didn't mention it. I was just like, like whatever. I hadn't used it, so I played with it in the office. Like whatever. I don't need a light.
Right.
Sold a couple of these things, and like these guys call back and like talking to them. You like the unit? Oh, I love the unit. Whatever. The best part? Like what? The light. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Like you didn't even mention it. And I was like, well, I didn't figure you were going to use a light. And they're like, no, man. Think about it. You got a flashlight in your hand. Where's your monocular? It's on your hand. Yeah. You need something in the bag, in your hunting pack. Yeah. You drop something. What do? You got to look for a flashlight to then find it. Pull your phone out. Something's like, I got it right here. And I'm like, okay, fair point. So I've had several guys that have really like nerded out over the light. They really like it. And it's focusable and it has 2 brightness settings. So it's actually kind of cool.
It's a good light.
I have to admit that it's a usable light.
It's a good light. I'm notorious about forgetting to take a flashlight, but I never forget a monocular. So I've got both right there that I'm never going to forget or leave at home. But I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, other than that, it's the size of a daytime laser rangefinder right here in the palm of your hand.
Yeah, it does have one more thing I need to mention, and this is the one thing I have to admit doesn't do anything for me, but it does have a laser. So it's got a built-in red laser. Yeah, right there. And you can push these 2 buttons right here. Laser comes on, and I mean, the only reason I guess you would ever use that is maybe if, you had somebody with night vision with you that, true, Gen 2, Gen 3 night vision, you were trying to show them where you were. I don't know. I don't know why you would use the laser, especially if you got thermal. But anyway, there's a laser built in. But the flashlight's way more usable.
I'm going to need you to be more enthusiastic about this because I'm going to tell you a laser on anything basically makes it a whole lot cooler. So you can put a laser on just about anything, and it just automatically makes it much more awesomer. So
then this is much
thumbs
more
up to the laser. Let's talk about ID ranges because that's important. Other than the price and everything else, the quality of it, ID range. How far can I see with it? And I would say the detection range is awesome, but that really doesn't mean much to you. How far can you tell the target animal of what you're hunting, whether it's a coyote, a hog, or whatever? You're trying to spot deer, if you're doing some pre-hunts and deer management, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to tell you, these are good. The ID range is for 384 resolution binoculars. The ID range is very, very good, and we're being very conservative, I would say, in classic Jason form. He wanted to reel me back, and I lit him. But I would say, after talking about this, going over the things that we've done with it, conservatively, I would say the CBL19, that's the 1.9 power, that's going to be, or the 2 power, that's going to be 275 yard ID range, being able to tell the difference between a coyote and a small deer or hog or whatever you're trying to look at. The CBL25, that's going to be around 300. So we're going to say 275 plus on the CBL19. We're going to say 300 plus on the CBL25, and I think y'all are going to get a little bit more out of it. But yeah, conservatively.
listen, we've got the sham wow guy over here. He's already admitted to that. And then you've got, the more conservative, middle of the road who hated the sham wow guy, me over here. So, no, I agree with those numbers.
Can't hate the sham wow guy. Other than I think wasn't like in person, like he was just not a really good person at all. Like personally,
I really don't remember.
I think he was like in a lot of trouble for some bad decisions. But yeah,
well, but so I think the 275 and 300 is reasonable, and I want to be clear on something. That one reason that we try to be conservative, and I really, really do, is everybody has a different experience. Mm-hmm. Everybody has different eyes. Everybody has different, experience out in the field. And so, I had a guy on the phone the other day that was just really, really happy with his scope. And I would have said you could ID hogs and coyotes at 400 to 500 yards. I mean, this was a $6,000 scope. He was really, really happy. And he said he thought that he could probably ID out to 200, maybe 225 on a really, really good night. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, wow. And I was like, you sure you can't get a little further than that? He's like, oh, no. And I was like, I wanted to make sure something wasn't wrong with the scope. So my point is, everybody has a little different take on what they can do. And so I like to be conservative, but man, I'm telling you, the image quality is really, really good. And, even before we did the show, I was out there with one of these units looking around, and I was looking at deer at 275, and I'm going, oh yeah, that's easily, I can tell what these are. So I do think it's conservative, but I also think, conditions are going to play into that some as well as experience with thermal.
And then that's what some people still don't understand, how bad some weather conditions can affect these. Because you talk to people and like, man, I had this 640 resolution monocular out and I couldn't see 100 yards. Well, as most of you know, and if some of you don't, weather conditions affect this, whether it be high humidity, high dew point, obviously rain, fog, snow. Yep. I mean, anything really having to do with moisture. If it's and I always know if I'm driving around, I'm like, oh man, it's a sunny day today, not a cloud in the sky. I usually know at night the picture image is going to be pretty good. And if it's cloudy during the day and cloudy at night, it's going to be not as great than it's going to be on a clear day. So, to keep that in mind, any conditions where any type of moisture is being held, down close to the ground level, it's going to affect it. Really, it can, depending on how bad it is, it can cut it back a big percentage of the picture quality. So taking that all into account, we do feel comfortable with the ID ranges. Like we said, CBL19, 275 plus, and CBL25, that's 300 plus, depending on the weather conditions. But they are, the ID ranges for some 640, for some 384 resolution monoculars are really good. I think we were both kind of surprised about it. Not in a bad way, thinking that they were going to be worse, but no, they I think exceeded our expectations in that regard.
Yeah. So I want to just spin off of here. Hans was talking about weather conditions, and so I kind of want to get into some of the things, what I really like about the unit, and bring up a couple things that maybe we don't like, or Hans always leaves that to me. He likes everything, and then lets me say what I don't like.
I only like to give good news. I don't like to give bad
exactly,
news.
Yeah. Well, ShamWow guy. So I like to do this because there is. I don't think there's any perfect optic out there, and we can always find something that we'd like to improve normally on an optic. And I like people to know. Hey, it's not all sunshine. There may be something that I wish was different, and it's not just to throw rocks for the reason of throwing rock. It's like, hey, let's just be honest. If there's something we'd like to change, we'll bring it up here. So I want to go over some of these things, and I want to just spin off of what Hans was talking about: humidity and bad conditions, whatever. So I've been out with this unit in bad conditions, and when I mean bad conditions, what I mean is this: we had some days where it was. It's right now it's wintertime. We had some days where it was getting up in the 70s. It was, like he said, overcast, dreary all day, that misty, nasty, doesn't know if it's raining or not. It's just the worst all day. Yeah. So that night things are going to look bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's about as bad as you can imagine. And I mean, besides maybe just actual raining at that point. Well, I got out that night with the CBL19 as well as a couple other monoculars from some different manufacturers, and just looking at them side by side. And that's something Hans and I like to do. I mean, it really helps us keep us in check of, if you just look at one thing and that's all you know and that's all you're doing, but you got to put it by everything else to kind of see where it ranks. And so I was doing that and I was shocked. The image quality on this iRay or Infiray was really, really good in these bad conditions. I mean, compared to what I was expecting and compared to what I was seeing out of some of these other optics, it was fantastic. Now, in reality, it's not a huge surprise. If you've heard our reviews of some of the other Infiray and iRay products, their thermal imaging sensor just does really, really good in those conditions. I mean, that's one of the things that they're known for. And so I was very impressed. High humidity. I'm going to go over some of these, Hans, and Em, and I'll come back to you and let you see if I left anything out. I like the fact that you got a removable rechargeable battery. Again, I think it's very affordable. $99 to get, again, on the bench, 6 hours, maybe in the field. That's going to be, I don't know, 5. If it's cold weather, really cold, I don't know. It's going to bring that down, obviously, but I think that's fair. One thing I always like, and I know sometimes Hans kind of just, grins at me and like I'm special, but I really like padded hand straps. I think this is a big deal on handheld binoculars.
You're like the guy. You're like the guy that's like the salesman selling a truck. He's like, "Hey, and look, it's got 2 extra cup holders in the back seat." And Jason's like, "Oh my gosh, I gotta have it. This truck's got 2 extra cup holders in the back seat."
Anybody that goes anywhere with a wife and 2 kids knows that those 2 extra cup holders are better than a spilled water in the back seat. So look, here's the reason that I am a fan. So, all right, here's the deal. This is the padded hand strap. Now, if you're just holding this thing, all right, you just got this unit with no padded hand strap, like a lot of monoculars. All night, this is what you're doing. You're grabbing this thing. You are flexing your muscles. You are holding it because you don't want to drop it. You got a padded hand strap in this thing. Now I can hold it. I don't have to do anything. Upside down. I mean, I'm palming it. I can loosely hold this thing. I can walk around. I don't have to worry about dropping it, gripping it. My hand doesn't get tired. You just throw your hand down at the side and, you're palming it. It's, I mean, all joking aside, Hans knows what I'm talking about. It is very, very comfortable to carry a monocular all night long with a padded hand strap. It's just really, really nice. So I like that. We've already talked about the light. I really do like the light as well. Image quality, really, really good for the value, for the dollar. I mean, I think for the price, it's very solid. Obviously, we like the 5-year warranty. And, I think that's, obviously a big deal if you can get a 5-year warranty in this price range for a unit. So those are my just quick rundown on my list of pros. Do you have anything that I left off of that?
I think you hit all the major ones. And I will agree the padded hand strap is nice. It is a really nice padded hand strap too. It's not a cheap little nasty one. It is a nice padded hand strap. I'll say, obviously, the removable battery, I'll go ahead and reiterate that. That's a big deal. The removable battery, 6+ hours of runtime. When you hold this cabin monocular, it feels well built, put together, doesn't it? It just feels like rigid or rugged.
It's solid.
It's solid, yeah.
And there's something, I don't know exactly what this is, but this material that's on the kind of the sides and the bottom here.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it's kind of some kind of a rubber coating that feels good. I mean, it's I don't know. I like it. I mean, it does. It feels very solid, well built. Now I'm going to transition that and spin that off into a little bit of a couple things that I would change on it if I had a magic wand. I do think at 14 ounces, it's a little heavy. It just, I mean, this thing's solid. I mean, there's a pro and a con to this. So it feels substantial. It feels quality. It feels solid. All those things Han's saying. And I think part of that is because it's not super lightweight. So it's, I mean, you know what I mean? So if it was super lightweight, I'd be like, well, it doesn't feel as solid.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a catch-22.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I don't think it's crazy heavy, but I do think it 14 ounces, it's a little on the heavier side. I mean, to be honest, I hadn't thought about it much until I read the specs, and I was like, 14 ounces. I mean, that is pretty close to a pound.
Yeah.
So it's a little on the bigger side, or heavier side, I should say. This is look, we nitpick. That's what we're here for. We're trying to find the negatives. This is minor, but I have done this over and over and over. But there's something about the shape. I'm going to show this thing, all right? So it's narrower at the top and it's wider at the bottom. That feels backwards to me. So I pick this thing up upside down every time I pick it up. So when it's upside down and backwards, because now I've got but I've done it over and over multiple times, and now just you get used to it. But go ahead.
When I first started showing this thing, when you were running the specs, I was holding it upside down, and I realized that I was holding it upside down.
I don't feel so bad. I'm glad you admitted that. Because
I was going to cut it out of the video, for the podcast, but now I've got to put it in there because I mentioned it. So yeah. I was totally holding it upside down at the beginning, y'all.
It is. I mean, it doesn't matter, but it's been laying on my desk all day long today, and I keep picking it up to look through it. And what I found myself doing multiple times was, I wasn't putting my hand into the hand strap, so I just pick it up and I'd look in there and I'm like, it's upside down. Why is the screen upside down?
Yeah.
So anyway, we're nitpicking. Really, really like this unit. I'm going to tell you, I think Han said it a while ago, and I was afraid where he was going to go. He started off about, it was better than we thought it was going to be. I was like, oh, great. We thought it was going to be junk. No, we didn't. But it is a good unit. I liked it more than I thought that I would. We've seen a lot of monoculars in the last 2 or 3 years that are in this, $1,200, $1,500 to $2,500 range. And they've kind of run together. There's been a lot of them, and more than ever. I mean, that was a price range, that didn't even exist a few years ago. And it's kind of like when these manufacturers figured out how to do it for this price, everybody jumped in. And it's been a lot of good units and still are. But I was kind of thinking, it's just going to be another unit. But, I was just pleasantly surprised with what it is, everything about it. I think it's a good quality optic.
One more thing I'm going to add on the pros, and I don't know.
We're done with those. There's no more pros.
I like I do like the zoom on the bottom. You got it you're holding it with your hand, in one hand, and it's so easy to use the magnification. I'm not zoom, but the focus at the bottom. It's so easy to do while you're holding it. You can sit there and just turn that thing and focus it at the bottom. I don't know. I think it's different. It's kind of cool. I kind of like it. It's kind of handy.
I'll be honest.
It's growing
first. It's growing on me. At first, I was like, I hate this. What is this? Why is it here? But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Even if, which I was kind of thinking, this is just shows you how dumb I am. I was thinking like, well, man, now I got to use 2 hands. Well, you got to use 2 hands if you're focusing it with a ring on the front, And so your other hand on a normal optic would go up here in the front. You'd have a focus ring.
Right.
This is actually, I agree. I feel like you can reach underneath there while you're holding the unit. You're holding steady. It's not bad. At first I was like, what is it? But no, I don't think it's bad at all. Hey, I'm going to mention this because people always ask me, this unit has a tripod jack. A lot of people ask that about different, and they almost all monoculars do, but a lot of people ask, they want to mount it on, maybe a tripod while they're, standing there, whatever. So it does have a tripod jack, just in case you were concerned about that. I had a guy ask me another question. He said, hey, can I put this thing on a lanyard? Is there some way to put it on a lanyard? My answer to that is yes. So if you want to wear a lanyard with this, what I would suggest is tying, clipping in, whatever you want to do it, just here on the hand strap. If you don't want the hand strap on there at all, you can take that off. There's a couple little, metal D-rings there.
But look to the left of the battery. See those little slots? That's exactly where you can loop a lanyard through.
Well, there you go. I didn't even see those. Man alive. There you go. So you can loop a little bitty tiny deal through there.
Bucks, right?
You do. That's why. But I do want to say this. In my opinion, these kind of units around your neck, it's pretty big and heavy. I mean, and I say that about a lot of monoculars.
Right.
If it's wintertime and you got a big coat, like I got this collar here on this vest, it keeps that from cutting into you. If you got a padded coat, that thing is not, when you're like walking, it's not bouncing and just hitting your chest over and over. So I think in the winter, I could see where you could wear it around a lanyard and be fine. I think in the summer, if you're out there in a t-shirt, I think, that lanyard's going to rub your neck. And I think this thing's going to bounce on your chest. And I think it's probably going to bother you. Again, I say that about most, heavier monoculars.
Exactly.
But anyway, so I just wanted to mention that you can. I do think overall good design. The battery life I'm really happy about. I think that's a very, very reasonable battery life. Again, for a removable battery, if you ever get in a bind out there, and let's say you don't have a spare battery, you don't have it with you, and the battery goes dead, or it's getting there, all you got to do, you can go to your USB-C port here. You can plug in a cord there, and you can run it, or charge it off of a USB battery pack. Everybody's got those things laying around. So that is something, if you get in a bind and you're concerned about that, you can use that.
Yeah. So, y'all, there's a lot of monocular choices, and they're growing all the time. We've got some new ones that we talked about in our SHOT Show episode. Some new ones coming out there. We've got binoculars that we haven't reviewed yet that we're intending to review very soon. We still got some good binoculars that have been on the market for quite a long time that are very, very good sellers. These two cabin models adds two good choices into the mix, but also it could be some confusion as far as what you should get, what's best for the money, what's best for your application. The best thing to do, if you're interested in purchasing a monocular, which obviously I probably talk more about monoculars these days than anything else, because people wanting to buy a monocular just for scouting, or if you want to buy a monocular to accompany a night vision scope, or if you want to jump, head deep into it and get a thermal scope and a monocular, give us a call. We're here to help. We're here to make the right suggestion for you. You can always call and talk to me or Jason at 877-350-1818. You can always find all of this stuff on the website, outdoorlegacygear.com. We appreciate any business that we get, and we try to show you with our customer service the difference in what we provide over what some of the other companies will provide, or somebody that you randomly meet on the internet. But I tell people all the time, and I'm going to say it here before we close, people say, well, what if I buy a scope and I have a problem with it? My response to that is, that's why it's important to buy from a good reputable dealer, because if you have an issue with your scope, your first call should always be to your dealer, the person and the company that you bought the scope from. Because there's a lot of times Jason and I, we could diagnose and fix a lot of issues on the phone without even having to give up or send in your scope or your monocular, so you're not left without one for a while it's being fixed. So a lot of times we can get those problems resolved on the phone. And go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to say this. So it's not necessarily that we're fixing a problem. It might just be that there's not a problem, and there's a confusion on how it's working, or maybe there's, you hit the wrong button or in your wrong setting or whatever. Yeah. So
some of these things are confusing.
That we can, it's very, they can be very confusing, especially if you're not used to thermal and, it's a new optic and all that. So Hans, I'm going to let you go back to what you're saying. I didn't mean to interrupt your train of thought, but I don't want people to think we can repair the units, but a lot of times it's not really a repair that needs to be made. But that's the thing. And here's the deal. Guy called me this morning. He goes, hey man, I've had this thing, a couple months, I'm having this problem. And I go, oh man, that's weird. I don't have an answer for that. It's definitely something like a defect. hey, you need to contact the manufacturer. Here's how you get a hold of them. Now, at that point, my hands are tied. He's definitely got to deal with them. They're the only people that can repair it, but I can at least point him in the right direction. And he has the confidence to know, like, it's not just something I'm doing, right? I mean, this thing's really messed up. I mean, there's something wrong with it. Yeah, there's something messed up with it. Okay, no problem. So anyway, that's all I was going to say.
Right. Yeah. So if your call if you have a question or a concern, your first call should be to your dealer, where, like Jason said, if it's
whoever you bought it from,
like Jason said, if there's something you can't figure out or you feel like there might be an issue, sometimes we can shed some light on it and not fix something, but show you that it's not really an issue. It's just another way to do something. Now, also your dealer, though, a good reputable dealer will help facilitate and show you the process of returning an optic. I will say this: if in the past you've done business with a company or a person and you bought something and you said, no, I can't really bug them about it, or they're not going to know how to fix it or anything, or they're not going to know what to do, I can't call them, then I'm going to invite you to investigate and try to find another dealer. And we hope that dealer is us, because if there is something wrong with the scope, if you feel like there's an issue or if you feel like you have questions, we have an open door and an open phone policy. We want you to call us. So 877-350-1818, outdoorlegacygear.com. You can check out all of our past episodes, all 196 previous to this, on the latenightvision.show.com. You can also find Jason over at Facebook, on Instagram, Outdoor Legacy. You can also find him on YouTube as well, Outdoor Legacy. And you can find me on YouTube. I just completed my review of the Bearing Optics Super Hogster, and man, that video is getting a ton of views.
Super Yoder.
What did I say?
Not the Hogster, the Yoder.
They're so close in name. Super Yoder, you're exactly right, because that they look for the Hogster, they'd see how old that thing was. No, but the Super Yoder is done really good. It's got a lot of views. So thank you all for watching it. And you can find me hanging out on Instagram, of course. Hans ETX, that's Hans ETX. Thank you always, and thank you all for listening.
All right, folks, we hope you've enjoyed the show. Again, if you're looking for one of the cabin, the CBL19, the CBL25, or maybe you don't know what you're looking for, you just got questions, you want to know how these units compare to others on the market, maybe you're looking for thermal or night vision optic, whatever it is. As Hans said, give us a call. We would love to earn your business, love to deal with you and try to help you in any way that we can. 877-350-1818, outdoorlegacygear.com. We will, good Lord willing, Creek Don't Rise, be back here again next week. Episode number what? What will that be?
198. Yeah.
198.
I think on episode, so I've already been thinking about it. My assistant, my wife, is kind of even feed me some ideas, but I think for the 200th episode, I think that you and I need to play some clips from not our very first podcast. So when we started the podcast, we didn't do video, we just did audio. But I think we need to play just a few clips from our first episode. I think it was episode 4, where we actually started recording on video and all that. I think we need to show the audience a little bit of those clips from that long ago.
I think they would. I think what they would see is that we were younger, skinnier, and less gray.
Less gray, and I'm in a completely different. My backgrounds have switched a lot. Jason's has pretty much been the same. I went back and looked at it, and it's pretty close to the same. But anyway, it is. I think we need to show a little bit of that for the 200th episode.
We'll see. We haven't, all right, folks. Hey, listen, all joking aside, we hope to see y'all again here next week. Remember, subscribe on YouTube, or if you're on one of the podcast apps, do the same thing there so you never miss an episode. Between now and then, y'all stay safe in the fields and keep making those bacon pancakes.